Good morning, everybody, and a beautiful one it is. Here, make sure we're ready for this. Lovely. Pretty interesting looking piece of wood, I gotta say. Morning, everybody. Big old piece of Monkeypod on the lathe today. I think I'm gonna wind up turning away a lot of this this heartwood. It's pretty interesting looking wood, but yeah, I just don't think that I want all of that in the final product. So I'm gonna set up a recess, then we'll set up a foot, and we'll keep moving. So that's a pretty important cut right there. I want this foot to angle back in so that the rim is the widest part, because if I make it perfectly flat, if this bowl warps at all, it'll cup, and so it won't be able to sit flat, it'll wobble. So that is what's going on there. I'm gonna swing you all around so that I can get my camera back in here a little bit tighter. Oop. There we go. Doing a little bit of filming today. Feel free to ask any questions that you might have about the process in the chat. I love talking about this stuff. And we actually have some time this morning, which is nice. Got about an hour 20 to finish this platter, which ought to be plenty. I actually have another video, like another long-form video coming out today. I pushed it up. I made a video about AI in wood turning and AI in craft, and how we can use it without losing our soul, compromising on the artistic side, but still being competitive. Still, boy, you can literally see the silica in this stuff. This is gonna do a number on my gouges. I already know it. But yeah, that video drops at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is in like 3.5 hours. Nice little foot right there. And swapping lenses again. What's going on, Tyler? On filming a craft or trade, yeah, you know, I did not find much when I was looking to start, and I think the biggest issue that I was running into is that filming something that is static, like something that isn't moving, for example, a piece on the lathe, you really have to find a lot of ways to make it interesting, you know? If you want to give yourself options, I think you have to move off of the cell phone. I really do. I think that there are plenty of people out there who are just like guy in really well lit shop who is just talking and filming on his cell phone. You know, it's unedited. I think the number one thing to look to is woodworkers do a pretty good job of this because they're typically solo in their shop as well. So they have, there are just more of them than there are woodturners. So I think there's GR Woodworking. He does a really good job of filming solo. But yeah, the thing that I would recommend is if you can, like if your budget allows for it, get a camera with detachable lenses because that's going to give you kind of a visual vocabulary, if that makes sense. Beyond that, it's just kind of experimentation to find your own style. You know, you can tell I kind of light my background like on a gaming channel, you know, with the blue accent, and I have some sort of orange accents over here, mostly because I think that stops people on the scroll as they go by. But you'll have to kind of develop your own style, you know, and a lot of it is trial and error. If you look back at my videos from 2 years ago, cell phone video in a bright white shop, and nobody cared, like nobody watched those videos. So I wish that there were better resources for this, for filming static, non-moving subjects, but we're kind of on the bleeding edge with this, you know. The other thing that you can do is start watching film more critically. I think that once you start making the videos, you start figuring out like what you want, and you'll start looking at other videos and even at film, like cinema, a little bit more critically. You know, you'll be able to grab ideas from that. You'll see a shot in a movie and think, boy, how did they do that? Or like, why are they shooting it at a downward angle looking up? Or, you know, why are they shooting this from the bird's eye view? Or, you know, why are we doing a rack zoom from one edge of their face to the other? Yeah, so I think that the big deal is just to start, right? Just to get that first one out of the way so that you can start to get a grasp on like knowing what you don't know, if that makes sense. Sorry, I know that was kind of like a rambling answer on that, but there aren't really great resources for how to start this way, other than people who are telling you like, film it with your cell phone and don't edit, and frankly, I just disagree. I think you have to respect the viewer's time, and I think that it pays to put some effort in to make it, you know, beautiful and satisfying. All right, I gotta press on with this. can see, but this stuff just turns to powder. It's pretty gross. We're not in black palm territory, but we're not that far away either. This stuff is really unpleasant. I was hoping to be able to get underneath all of that heartwood, but I actually kind of think that accent is sort of nice. I don't know why, especially in like the half moon. I'm weirdly kind of digging it this morning. And so I'm going to back the camera up a little bit and sand it. Yeah, I don't know. I have ideas about how I would like to tell people about how to shoot in their own shop and how to film a static subject, and that may be something that I do at some point. I still feel like I'm kind of young in this game. Like, I'm not sure that I feel totally qualified to give a ton of advice. Although I will say, it is a truth on YouTube that if I give some advice and it's incorrect, I will be instantly corrected like 45 times over. So there's kind of value in that too. You know, if you're willing to hop down into the comments and kind of, you know, take your licks, you can still kind of figure out what's going on. Nothing attracts professional filmmakers more than non-professionals giving advice on cameras and how to film. So I'm gonna get this sanded up. I need to take a little bit of footage. But Taylor, if it's helpful, ask questions about the filming process, you know, like what I'm doing at any given point. Feel free to ask. I'm happy to talk about this kind of stuff. I don't want to get too bogged down in the daily turn about like lenses and focal length and stuff, but also feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram and we can chat about it offline. about doing my my favorite cut where I kind of undercut that rim a little bit. Let's see. I like to make it look like the foot is a bead all on its own, so I like to take this cut back towards, kind of towards the center on the outside. Oh, that stuff does not taste good. There is so much dust in these pores, I think that I have to do denatured alcohol. So I'm gonna give it a quick wipe down. You're gonna get to see an early color pop, which is always a little bit of fun, right? And if you don't know how your denatured alcohol is denatured, wear gloves, because if it is done with methanol, that stuff is super duper toxic and readily absorbed through the skin. Just something you don't, Like, there are enough problems in the world right now. Do you really need methanol poisoning? Long-term exposure to solvents? I think we'll probably find out some really nasty stuff about this stuff in like 30 or 40 years. That said, it is really effective. Yeah, look at all this dust that we're pulling up out of here. Just trying to flood it up out of the pores, basically. And the reason that I don't want that dust in there is because it's not going to absorb the oil, and so it's going to show up. It's going to be like a really intense contrast between the actual heartwood and the color of the dust that doesn't wind up getting penetrated by the oil. I did leave myself a little bit of thickness. My worry on these platters is always like I get into bowl mode. Like I don't want to ruin one of them. I have funneled my fair share of stuff in this shop. Not too proud to admit that. If you funneled a bowl this last year, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We share our mistakes here. So one of my favorite posts to make on Instagram actually is the funnel club, and everybody comes out of the woodwork. Oh man, I just did that this morning. Why'd you have to remind me? Oh, I had this beautiful piece. You know, it's like those fishing stories, right? Like the fish gets a little bit bigger every year. Like the burrow gets a little bit tighter on the piece that you were finishing. You know, I paid $200. No, I paid I think I paid $400 for it at that wood show. Just keeps adding up and adding up. All right. Pretty nice surface there, actually. Okay. Cool. So now the abrasive bar. Lovely. And starts applying some pressure. Start on the edge, melt it right in. Build up some heat, build up a base. Back off, pull out some of that excess. Let's take a little look at where we are here. I have to say, that's a pretty cool looking piece of wood. You know, I do think that leaving that little bit of sapwood out there was the correct move. Yeah, drinking alcohol? Yeah. You know, I do have Everclear. The problem that I have is that I'm in California, and I think that we limit it to 70% or something like that. So there's a lot of water content, which kind of slows down the process, but I don't know, it may be worth it at some point. Mostly, I just bought a gallon of denatured alcohol in pints, and so I'm going to try to run through all of this, and then I will reassess my solvent needs. I'll be sure to come to y'all when I'm reconsidering what I want to do. All right, time for the interior. Oh, don't even tell me that. No. Oh my god, I undershot that by like half a mil. Oh, rookie mistake. All right, hold on. I have to take like a whisper shaving off of the inside here and then re-wax it. Ugh. Okay, just off of the inside here. I was jabbering about filmmaking, and this is what you get, you know? So why isn't that one up straight? I wonder if I got a piece pinched here. This is starting to break out a little bit. Okay, well. Really, why is that so far off? It's so weird. Give me just a sec here. Let's try that. Okay, a little better. Closer. Not perfect, but closer. Alright, what do you say we try that again, huh? That's just early morning, coffee kicking in. talking to the live chat mistakes. So I started making my coffee outside in the shop so that I don't wake my wife and kids up, because I turn super early in the morning, at least for us out here. I bought an AeroPress. I gotta say, it's a pretty mean cup of coffee, and it is not that expensive. And I'm really enjoying playing around with the recipes and stuff. Okay, so need to make some design decisions here. I want a rim. I think I want the rim to flow outwards a little bit, come back in. I think we're gonna put a bead right about here, sort of a raised bead, and then we'll have the working interior surface of the bowl. I'm gonna swap y'all around so that I can bring my A camera in here, and Tyler, just in case you wanted to see what that looks like. So battery, FX3, exterior monitor, Rode mic on top, and then I'm using old Asahi Pentax lenses from Japan. They're really, really good for the quality, or for the price, and you can find them on eBay pretty easily. The wood is Monkeypod. All right, so we're gonna start here. I'm gonna touch up my gouge really fast because there is a lot of silica in this wood. Anyhow, yeah, if you're looking to film, if you're looking to get into this, first thing I can tell you, probably not gonna get rich. hate to be the one to have to break that news to you. DM me and I will literally send you a screenshot of what I made last year. If you're not doing it for the love of the game, it's gonna be difficult to keep up motivation. Paychecks are not huge. That said, if you love it, if you love turning, if you love film, if you love editing video, I think it's a pretty rewarding experience. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're gonna put the bead right there, scoop this out to be the interior working surface. I think I'm gonna push the bead back, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 1/4, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Just kind of push it back in there. doke. There we go. All right, now we're just gonna hollow out the inside. This has like a gentle radius on it. I like the way that that bead looks, so we're just gonna scoop this out and make this the working surface of the platter. We'll be able to punch pretty much straight back in here, so let's do it. Just put a lot of dust into my actual camera lens there. Nice. Alright. Try to bring this up to shoot the rim here. There we go. A little bit of focus there. Lovely. I kind of like this ledge here. I don't know why, it's sort of speaking to me today, so I may try to round this off a little bit, maybe just push this back and then roll it over a touch. And look, if I wind up not liking it, I just erase it, right? Just keep it as a bead. But I kind of like that it's setting off the interior here. What I might actually do is take the spindle gouge, try to push that back a little bit, make this bead a little bit more defined. I think there's something interesting to do there. Let's give this a go. actually really digging that. And then I think I'm going to use that to sharpen up the edge of this bead right here. There we go. Nice. I'm really digging that. I'm liking how that came out a lot. So let me pull you in for a tighter shot here. So what we wound up doing is, if I can get the A camera out of the way, really tightly defining that bead on the outside, and then I'm leaving that shelf, and then I think that's gonna nicely set off like this whole interior area. David, this is Monkeypod. Hello, everybody. Hey, do me a huge favor. If you're here from the Shorts feed, hit that subscribe button so we get another chance to hang out. I'm going to do some sanding really fast. There we go. We'll just look straight on from that. And then bring the A camera around. Do some sanding. Lovely. Dust collector on, respirator 2. Let's get the dust out. Start looking pretty nice in just a second here. I say, the smell of this stuff will wake you up in the morning if you're short on coffee. That is not a medical recommendation. I'm not a doctor. Don't do that. Alrighty, so next step is using the abrasive bar. Ooh. Yeah, if you're looking for something to do this morning, molten carnauba under the fingernail should probably not be on your list. It's not that comfortable. There we go. Let's see where we are here. Still picking up a lot of dust. We're in decent shape. I'm going to try to push a little bit more of this down into the corner if I can. This is the area I feel has been neglected slightly. Let's stop doing that. There we go. Gorgeous. Yeah, it's pretty. I don't care for this wood, but it is pretty. Again, not quite black palm, but not like that either, if that makes sense. Pull a little bit of that wax out. So yeah, there we go. Nice little edge profile on that. yeah, I think it's pretty. I think you'd use it to serve on. Yeah, buff it in a little bit more here. Well, yeah, that is our piece for the morning, ladies and gents. A little half moon of the sapwood here. I think it's a nice kind of accent. Sort of sets off the bottom. Cool bands of color. Nice and shiny. Yeah, I think it's fun. Well, phenomenal. Thanks for being here with me. If you enjoy woodturning content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to tune in about 2.5 hours for my AI and woodturning video. Sure to be a very spicy comment section. So get in there while the getting's good. Thank you very much for being here. I will see y'all on the next one.